bill some of these resources to the court. Now, let me just do the introduction. Energy experts also hoping to lead the MPP into the 2024 general elections as its flag bearer. And we have Kwadwo and Poku, a great man, has always contributed to many subjects of socio-economic dimensions in our country, especially when it comes to the oil and gas sector, energy. He's the man that you always trust. He's been crisscrossing across the country, and I think his views also will come in very handy this morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, my brother Roland. How are you?
I'm fine, Honorable. Incoming.
Thank you.
And then also great advisor to government's economic management team. He assists also the vice president in many respects. He's a member of the Tano North constituency of our republic. That seat currently is in the hands of the governing New Patriotic Party. And Dr. Gideon Boakum, I'm honored to have you, sir.
Hi,
how are you, sir?
It's been a while.
Yeah, been a while. I saw pictures of you. This lays to bear the bigger conversation about the confusion in the minds of the market. Perhaps we needed this address earlier than before.
Well, for me, I would have hoped that the president stayed away from that conversation.
Why?
Because, look, why did we go to IMF? IMF didn't come to us. We went to IMF. Why did we go to IMF? We need physical space. Government needs to basically breathe. The economy is choked. So the IMF now tells you, IMF does two things. They help you with some finances over a period, but they are not Father Christmas. They lend you the money, and they have to find a way that the money they are giving you to sustain you during your difficult times, IMF will be able to get it back. So IMF is saying that because you are choked, before I can give you my money, whether 3 billion over a period, how do I get my money back? So you need to also find physical space, what my brother is calling debt restructuring. So you need to look at your housekeeping. What do you put where? Okay? So one of the options, as my brother again mentioned that we did that in 2017, we did some restructuring which gave government physical space. So breathing space for you to restructure your debt, make some longer tenure so you can have space to do other things. So one of the things on the table is this restructuring of what people are calling haircuts. I've taken so much money from the local market. We have been taking about 1.3 billion a week since January. Every week we take about 1.3 billion. And by maturity, you might not be able to pay it off. So one of the things on the table that you are discussing or you need to present is to look at that option to say that, can I restructure, make some of the shorter bond longer tenure to give me space to breathe, to give me space to do other things? But if the president now come and make this statement that there will be no haircut or discounting, then it takes that option off the team of the negotiating team. So if they
because it's one of the options when you have to, it may be the lowest in terms of consideration. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's one of the options.
It depends on the numbers, and maybe the economic management team have done the numbers, and they feel that they might not want that option, and they will go for other options. But what that will now make is that if government cannot touch that, then they have to touch other things. So when we now have the IMF document, we will now know what we are touching. We now keep hearing this thing, and it keeps coming. And my brother repeated it. Principle. Look, if you leave the person's principal and renegotiate his interest, you're still giving him a haircut. If you elongate his tenure and do not give him the interest over that same tenure, you've given him a haircut.
Which is happening currently.
Well, I'm just telling you what the situation is. I sit on the board of a lot of investment banks. So the point is this. If you are looking at options of getting yourself to breathe, and the president comes and makes this emphatic statement, it really ties the hand of the negotiators around their back because it takes some of the options available to them off the table. So for me, my thought would have been that in the president's statement, he would have basically stayed out of that statement and let the negotiators negotiate, and then let's see what the final statement will have been from the IMF. But as it is now, it means that one of the things that government can look at, maybe, as we keep hearing the principal, we are going to assure them the principal, but if I offered you 30% interest, then what I'm going to do is that I'm going to now try to renegotiate that 30% interest and say, look, my brother, I offered you 30% when I bought this bond. Let me now, the interest I'm supposed to pay you on maturity, let me now split that over a period for you to pay. So naturally, what that person would have taken his money for today, you are telling him that instead of the 30% that I'm giving to you, I'll give that 30% to you over a period, let's say 4 or 5 months. If you restructure that and the cedi is not stable, right, and the cedi keeps depreciating, then that money that you are giving the person when you're not giving a bullet payment but structuring that period over a time doesn't come back to him at the same nominal value. So that is where people are worried.
Look, the reality is the government is hard up. The president says your principals will not be affected. And we've seen...
No, the president didn't say that. The president said there will be no haircut, but other commentators have said that.
No. We've had explanation.
Purchases bonds. It's giving bond prospectus. And once along the line,
what do you make
know that
of the posture where in Washington we have a document with the IMF? We're now coming back, the president is engaging and he's telling us that apart from solving the immediate issues of profiteering and speculation in the market, it's also to collate views and adapt. I'm thinking, where are they? And the team is coming back to Ghana at the staff level. We want that agreement and quickly we'll get to the board. Well, so shouldn't we have been doing that before now?
Well, you know, that area is not my strong suit. And for me, the negotiation thing, I can only just oppose it to business. When you're having a business negotiation, I think when it drags, okay, there's a back and forth.
Do you feel that it's dragging?
Oh yes, it should have. For me, like I said, I don't know how that IMF government process works. But when you're looking at to gain confidence and rapidly institute a process, because bear in mind, every time that this process is not concluded, the dollar to the cedi is suffering. The announcement alone did not have the desired effect. People want to see the nitty-gritty of what is negotiated. People want to see the inflow. In the past, we've had announcement of going to IMF and it stabilized our currency. In this time round, we've done the announcement, and about 2 weeks ago, we lost a cedi a day for 5 days. Okay. Then last week it has stabilized. This week we are still not sure where it's going to go. The most important thing is that there isn't a hard currency in the system, and the reason the fuel price is going up and all those things are high is because accessibility to the FX is not available, and that is why you see the high prices at the pump. So the conversation going on is at the end of it to get IMF to basically give us some liquidity, help us with debt sustainability and all that we do to calm the market, and we go. The market is sort of calm, but the reality on the ground is that the FX is not in the market.
Okay.
The issue of the syndicated loans from the cocoa syndication loan, I'm told, will come in this year. But government alone can't solve this problem, because no matter amount of dollars you bring into the market, there's a market to absorb it. You need investor confidence in, and that's where I would have thought that this process, in terms of a tentative agreement, will have agreed with them quickly, so that the whole issue of this haircut would not even have come in, because right after DC, we would have had what we need to do, and the speculators would have now stayed away, because we can show them a document that this is what we've negotiated and this is what is going to be. Then the actual agreement will probably be in December after the because now, if you look at the way I understand it, whatever has been agreed has to be inputted in the budget. The budget is between the 15th and the 30th, based on what we hear from Parliament.
It has to be in November, certainly.
Yes, this month. Between 15th or 30th, between that time, we need to have the budget. So whatever in the next 2 weeks, we are going to hear something that has been agreed. So all those things, for me, will give confidence. And two things are needed in this market now to stop and bring the fuel prices down and basically reduce the FX is confidence in the economy and liquidity of FX in the market.
Within the corridors of the minority of the OMCs, is that the same argument you told, knowing that people like me, I'm not in government, well, apart from Dr. Poku and then Honorable, who use 400 and they are giving free coupons?
No.
Then,
No.
I've withdrawn the statement.
No.
I've withdrawn it. I've withdrawn it. I've withdrawn the statement. I've withdrawn.
General misperception.
I've withdrawn the statement. Don't be laughing.
MPs are never giving free coupon.
Okay.
They are never giving free food. All those things.
Dr. Poku too will come in. I didn't want you to. I will just say
just one thing.
Dr. Poku is a camera appointee.
No, he too is not giving free. It's okay.
And let me place this on record.
Yes, please.
From 2017 till now, ever since I joined government, I have never been given one coupon.
Okay, that's fine.
Please, I've withdrawn. I apologize to the two of you.
From 2017, I've been looking for coupons.
You have not been getting.
I don't get.
No. So I went to the markets. You know, I went to Agbogloshi. I went to all those places. Then we went to the Tudu lorry stations. And even the drivers can't move their cars because the passengers are not coming.
Well, it's
and that's
crazy.
the argument. If you were in the position of the OMCs, is that?
Well, look, the OMCs are in a hard place. You know, me and Mr. Jimendia, we've bantered at various sessions at MPA because, you know, I have a position when it comes to the OMCs. I think that sometimes they overprice. And in this market, some are overpricing as well. You look at Allied is doing diesel at 18.32. Gwal is doing 23.49. They are all buying the same product with the same effect. So in this case, the top four are overpricing. It doesn't mean that there isn't an issue.
By about 5 cities.
Yes, they are overpriced number 5 cities.
So you buy from Allied?
Allied is cheaper, yes. So
I'm asking you a question. So do you mean that you buy from Allied oil?
I buy from Goodness.
You buy from Goodness?
Goodness is cheaper than Allied.
Oh, I hear.
So what I'm saying to you is that I don't buy from the top four. I buy from, when I look for coupon, I find maybe I'll go. Are you sure? Yes, I don't buy from. Right. Look, on my road, on the Dodua road, there's Goodness. That's where I buy. Okay. Now, let me make my point. The point is that, yes, they are in a hard place. This is not the conversation for the normal banter I normally have with them. What is happening is that we need forward pricing in the window. What it means is that when we are starting a window, in fuel, what you do is that you sell at the price you will buy to replace. You don't sell fuel at the price you bought it the last time. So I have to sell my product. They have to sell their product at the price, at the rate at which, if it finished, they can go to the market and replace it.
Futuristic.
The future, yes. So that is futures market. But now what is going on is that the BDCs and the OMCs are not able to find a future price.
Why?
The forward price. Because it's erratic. Yeah. In 2 weeks ago, what happened was that when we started the window, they priced at a price, they had a forward price. That forward price, which was supposed to last for 2 weeks, we went past it by 2 days. Okay, so remember that within the window, they increased the price again. Okay, so the issue is that the government needs to find $400 million a month for the BDCs. It's a lot of dollars that the government alone. Bank of Ghana is saying that they can do 120 million. Okay, so the BDCs have to go to their banks to find the difference. The banks are not getting the FX because that's why they are also pricing around 14. Interbank Bank of Ghana is about 13 point something, but the banks are pricing commercial rate at 14.4. Some are doing 14.9. So when we look at that, it is now that there's a sort of stability this week. So hopefully in the coming week, when we're now able to ascertain what the forward pricing will be, then the BDCs are able to price well. But for me now is a problem because the prices at the pump might be inching up a bit if we are not able to secure a certain amount of forex for the BDCs, because the uncertainty every day, if we are not careful, we'll collapse that industry. Because every day for last week they were selling, they were making losses. Okay, and every day they make losses. That means it's wiping out their capital. And it's not their money. Bear in mind, it's the bank that gave them LCs, and the banks are also losing money and will end up collapsing the banks as well. And we've seen in the past that the oil industry has always been one of the main canker for collapsing banks, the BDC indebtedness and all that. So we need to be careful. It's unfortunate that me and you are being asked to pay the high prices. But we are pleading with government that the 400 million that the BDCs need, he should let Bank of Ghana at least do half. Okay, 120 out of 400 really is not a lot. So that is where the problem is. Until we are able to do that, we will, in the next coming window, my projection is that we might plateau. There won't be an increase, because the city is now seeing... You mean we'll be maintaining the 23? The 23 might be maintained within the next window. Then after that, we might see it coming down, when at that point we will have seen the real conversation. Because bear in mind, there was a conversation last week at the ministry between MPA, Ministry of Energy, Bank of Ghana, and the BDCs and the OMCs. It was inconclusive because at that point, nobody could tell what they can give them and at what rate. Or without the rate, it's difficult for the BDCs and OMCs to price well. So, like I said, one, there's overpricing in the market, so people should look for a cheaper source of fuel to buy. But overall, there are really FX pressures, which is causing. Today, if you're able to bring the FX back to, let's say, 10 or 11, all these price hikes will go down.
All right. Dr. Poku of the Tano North constituency and then also the economic management team advisory.